Hey gang, Uncle Todd here, and I am very excited because I was right about who Mrs. Flood would turn out to be. But we'll get to that. We open up with the TARDIS landing in a skybox, basically, of the Interstellar Singing Contest. Uh, it's like you know, oh, that Simon Cowell thing, all those singing contests like The Voice and Who Wants to Be the Next Superstar or whatever, all that stuff. America's Got Talent, America's Most, Anyways, and Belinda recognizes the host. Turns out they keep him in cryo stasis because he's been doing this for like 800 years. Anyways, after getting a reading, the doctor decides, well, they could stay and watch the contest. What's no big deal, right? Enjoy it. Turns out they are on a space station, and over top of the Coliseum is basically a shield to keep the atmosphere in, so they can see the stars. Cool. Mrs. Flood happens to be in the audience, and she spots the doctor, and she says into this thing that he is the final link. And then she sits back to enjoy the show. Now, the skybox they're sitting in happens to have ticket holders who were trying to get in, but they can't. This is Gary and Mike. And suddenly, the guards, the robotic guards, all converge on the control room with the statement, begin phase one. Well, the producer and everybody else in the control room has no idea what that means. All the guards come in and pull guns on them. And then enters a Hellion. They're an alien species. They have like little horns that come out of the back of their heads and go across the top like that. And his name is Kid, and he's taking over. And he has everybody but the producer put off into a room and held, all except for another Hellion that works there, Sabine. And he sets up the dress rehearsal to play, to be broadcast to the 3 trillion people that are watching. And then he brings in a delta wave emitter. Now, the doctor's watching the show, then he looks down at the monitor that's showing the broadcast, and he notices Gary's not in it because it was the dress rehearsal. He wasn't needed, so he was left frozen. He knows something's wrong, and he's got a pretty good suspicion of what might happen, and he starts fitzing around with the controls that are in the skybox. Anyway, at that point, Kid takes off the safety parameters, and Sabine shuts down the force field. And the entire audience and everybody on stage gets sucked out into space, and the doctor gets sucked out, and the TARDIS gets sucked out. There's one performer in a skybox, and Sabine saves her by shutting down all the shields on the skyboxes, which also saves Belinda. Now, later she's able to get out of the skybox into the hallways, where she runs into the singer that Sabine saved, Cora. And her manager is trying to hack in to the thing, but he's having trouble, but he does reveal it's a Hellion. Well, who are the Hellions? Well, they're this species whose planet was destroyed. Why and how is kind of vague. Well, the Doctor, who's floating in space, has a vision of this old woman on the TARDIS. And it gives him the momentum to break out of the ice that he's being frozen up into, grab a confetti gun, and use that to get himself into an airlock. Now, this is seen by Gary and Mike, who open the airlock to bring him out. Gary's an electronics guy, and Mike just happens to be a medical man, and he's able to revive the Doctor who passes out. You know, all that lack of oxygen and stuff. And at this point, they go to the museum. The Doctor reveals nobody's dead yet. He suspected something like this, and he put up his own force field. So everybody basically that is floating out in space is in a state of suspended animation, like Gary is when he's not being used to host the show. Now, the Doctor, he's fiddling about with things, and he realizes there's a delta wave. Well, that's bad. And it's hooked into the transmitter. That's bad. Because if that goes off throughout the transmission, everybody watching the dress rehearsal will get killed by a sonic blast. So, the Doctor's fiddling, and Kid sees this, and he says, "Hey, I don't know who you are, but you better stop it, or I'll blow all the airlocks, and everybody else that's left will die now." And Belinda sees the Doctor. "Oh, this is great, he's alive." She was so scared. And then the Doctor shows his dark side and says that if Kid does not stop, the Doctor will hunt him down and make him pay the most excruciating payment a Time Lord can give. This kind of shocks Belinda. She's never seen him like that. Belinda also notices that Cora recognizes who Kid is, and Sabine. Turns out she's a Hellion. She had her horns removed so that she could pass unrecognized as a Hellion, and she got into a singing career. The corporation helped her. Turns out Kid is doing all this has revenge against the corporation. They invaded their planet, destroyed everything in it, and everything because they wanted the flowers there to make poppy honey, which is what sponsors the show. And it turns out that, well, it's not just the poppy honey, it was the flavor they wanted. Wonder what they're saying with this episode about capitalism. Anyway, Kid sends some robots down to take care of the Doctor, and this leads to one of the funniest moments in the show, because he's fiddling this, fiddling that, and he's talking da 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 da, and Gary and Mike see the robot's going to keep going, "Doctor, Doctor, Doctor," and then as soon as the robots pull out their guns and get ready to fire, the Doctor holds up his sonic, hits a button, and their heads blow off. Now comes the frontal assault, using Gary's help. The Doctor appears on the bridge. There's only a few moments left because once the delta emitter hits 100%, it's going to go off throughout the signal. And the Doctor shows up, and Kid laughs and shoots him. It was a hologram. But the real Doctor's there. He has the emitter, which he then destroys with his sonic. And when Kid tries to shoot him, he does the same thing with the Sonic. And then he puts on a hologram glove and says, I have a friend who helped me do some changes on holograms so that they can actually physically hurt people. And then he comes up, hologram comes up, and every time it touches Kid, it gives him excruciating pain. And the Doctor just keeps hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. At one point, the lady in the TARDIS vision tells him to stop. And he thinks about it and then keeps going. And then Belinda shows up. And when he sees her, he stops. And he's a little ashamed of himself. As you are when you kind of go ballistic on someone. Well, the producer's able to get control back of the robots. And they take Sabine and Kid into custody. Not before they berate Cora for abandoning them. Now, Cora had been talked by Belinda to going up so that to the control room so that she could talk to Kid. She knew maybe she can help them. Now we get to, well, first the Doctor and Kid have this big exchange where Kid goes, I won't forget this, and I will have it. And the Doctor says, yeah, well, just remember, I'm waiting. Anyway, they have to do a major rescue operation. So the Doctor gets Gary to recalibrate the tractor beam so that he can pick up Gary. And Mike, using Gary's stasis pad, revives it. Okay, now they can do it for everybody else. And then the Doctor starts converting all the sky boxes into the same thing as the thing that Gary is kept in. And so they're just bringing everybody back. Oh, it's awesome. And then the show goes back on, and Gary comes out and he explains, we almost all died, but we've got one last thing for everybody. And he introduces Cora, and she reveals what she is to the universe and sings a song of the Hellion people. It's a very moving song, but when she stops, there's dead silence. And then Gary starts clapping, and then Mike. And this spreads through the whole Coliseum, and everybody's cheering her. And there's an implication that the corporation might be in some trouble about what they did to Hellion, because they kind of covered it up. Anyway. Oh, even Sabine and Kid are moved by this. Well, and when the rescue teams arrive, they find the TARDIS and bring it back aboard. And Belinda and the Doctor have a heart-to-heart. And she reveals he scared her. And he reveals he scares himself sometimes. And he starts to talk about, how Gallifrey was destroyed. And then he stops. That's a story for another time. I've got to get you back to home, to Earth. And when Belinda mentions something where she, something about a diner she likes to go to, the Graham Norton hologram pops up. It seems this song originated on Earth. He was the first host. And it just spread to the billions. And he reveals the Earth disintegrated on the day Belinda left. No known cause. It just crumbled into dust. Well, Dr. and Belinda get in, and he's got to go back and stop this, whatever this is. At which point an alarm goes off in the TARDIS, and then the front door explodes. Cut to Gary and Mike. They are reviving the last of the audience members. And who is it? Mrs. Flood. And when she learns that the Doctor has left, she starts to glow. and then she bioregenerates, just like the Doctor did back during the last holiday special, or the two holiday specials ago. And who is she? The Ronnie! I knew it! Well, I thought she might be Romana too, but I was really hoping for the Ronnie. We haven't seen her, and she was a great villain. Kate O'Mara was awesome in the role. Well, of course, she's passed on. Anyway, and the Ronnie and Mrs. Flood, they head off to make the Doctor's life a living hell. Yeah, fun episode. I guess this would be the musical one for the season, because last season they had one where the Doctor went to save the Beatles and the Beatles ended up saving him. It was a really fun episode. And this is a fun one. You can see a lot of interesting aliens. One alien species kind of looks Frankensteinian. You know, they're green. They've got this kind of squarish head. And yeah, a lot of great aliens briefs. Didn't get to see much of the song contest, but that's okay because we were more concerned about the plot. And Kid was a great villain, smug and nasty. And I think the Doctor rightly called out, he's not doing this for revenge. He just likes killing people. And Kid doesn't disagree with that. Anyway, excellent episode. Really looking forward to how this thing's wrapping up. Now that we know the Ronnie's involved, she's even more dangerous than the Master. She's smarter. And she's a little more cool-headed. Because the Master, when he goes up against the Doctor, tends to get a little over-emotional with his hatred. You know, the Ronnie's more cool and calculating. Been waiting for her to show up for... God, when did... last 15, 20 years since they brought back Doctor Who. Finally, she's here. Of course, now we have a new mystery, who the woman he keeps seeing in his visions. But I don't care. We got the Ronnie. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.